How you doing? My name is George. I'm in the Philippines. I've been here for 4 years. I'm going to attempt to do this again. I thought it wasn't recording right, so got to recap it. But what I'm going to discuss with you is I'm going to tell you why maybe you should make this decision whether you want to come to the Philippines. I know there's a lot of beautiful places. I know there's different spots, and I've been to them. There's not been a lot of spots I find that is conducive to an American unless you absolutely know how to live off the grid. I do know how to live off the grid, but it doesn't mean necessarily I want to live off the grid because a lot of this stuff has its ups and downs, logistics, medical, quality of life, internet, lights, being able to work type of stuff. And we're going to go over it, and I'm going to kind of show you where I'm at after 4 years. I got here by, what was it, June of 2022. And obviously, I didn't plan on staying here this long, but right now, we're probably at the latter end of this visa coming through for my wife, and we'll be back in the United States. I won't go east or west of the United States no more because, and I've been there, but it wasn't for these long duration like this one, 4 years. You know what I mean? That don't seem like a long, but it's been a hell of a storyline in between that day one and now. But anyways, we're gonna go outside. I'm gonna show you what we're doing, that type of thing, and I'll show you the house and kind of explain what you're gonna see. But this is our home. This is not wasn't our first home, and I didn't set it up for design. I set it up for necessity. So, you got internet. We got a version of a camera. This is my workstation where I sit here and I do everything to do with Truck Driver Nation because we teach freight dispatching so you can work away from home. Work from home and you got to work at some business, that type of thing. There's a lot of things that you have to consider I'm getting or I've gotten that I would have never gotten in the United States, like even an EKG monitor just because there's medical stuff that you need because you want to depend on the hospitals. That's your call. I've been in hospitals. I was trained in medicine, and I know what it entails. Now, everything we bought here, like a refrigerator, stuff, all this, we bought all this mess here. All these AC units, the power's a little on the expensive side for what out of the cost of what you have as overhead. But we spend about $3,000 a month. That's because we actually have a freight dispatch business. And let me see if it'll turn on real quick. But if you want to go to it, on the front of the picture that I put on this, there will be a icon. Let me give me a second here. So this is our freight dispatch business. And of course, I use 3 screens, but some of that data is open that I can't let people view because it's confidential information. But that being said, it's a big house. We pay like $240 or $250 for this house. It was bad when we got here. It's still bad in my mindset. But that being said, that's kind of the way we deal with it. Right now, my wife, she is out here. She's a strong little thing, She's small, but she's a tough joker. But here she is. She's feeding the birds. Baby said, hey. I had to redo the video. I say, turn around and say, hey. Hey. That's hey. And this is our dog. So that's Juju. That's Voodoo. Lexi. Amber is around front because she escaped. And she's feeding them eggs. We feed them eggs because of protein. Those white barrels will put their dog food in. And we have to keep a breeze going on them all the time because they're fat bodies. And they don't take the heat real well. So, but we will be bringing them home. So if you're interested in puppies, please let us know. They call these pocket pit bulls or micro pit bulls. But with that being said, I'm going to just kind of show you some of the things. Those red jugs and these jugs, I hopefully it gets it on there. Those are going to be diesel fuel because we have backup generator. Obviously, we got tropical birds. But we built this cage to keep the dogs in when we first got here because for security purposes, I'll leave it at that. But the thing is, you can't let people get close to you. We live in like a little compound. If you go even 100 yards, poverty on the level you probably never experienced. It ain't the slums, but because I've been in the slums here too, but it's pretty rough. Internet, I'm going to cover the internet real quick. We've got 2 internet boxes right here. Then we got one on our phone, and then we have a little black internet box wherever she puts it. And what these do is this gives us the internet because since we actually do business, So it gives us 4 different variations of internet because it will go down, that type of thing. So you just have to keep that in mind. Another thing that we have is going to be the animals. The animals are something I gave myself to do. Now, yes, we're bringing the dogs home, but everything else is going to be evicted. So whoever they end up, whether I flood out this neighborhood with chickens or whatever it is, then kind of going to be what it's going to look like. But here's the birds. They're just domestic chickens, but these are the things you do. This one's in trouble. She's a chicken killer, so I put her in there with the chickens. And she's going to learn to respect the chickens. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. I don't know. Looks like she's killed another chicken. I don't know what to do about that. That right there is going to be Amber. Obviously, we got a small incubator. We incubate these chickens. This is going to be the last batch. We're winding that down because I know we're getting close to going home, and I'm kind of over it for raising the chickens. This is probably our last one. Come out here. We got rabbits. We built them a cage out front. You just build everything everywhere. There's no way of actually doing things, but that being said, that's what that is. This is one of our little male rabbits. He's so skinny he can go through that fence, so we had to put him in here. They build these things out of bamboo. This is the next level of chickens. So they run around, just keep them fed. He's a fighting rooster, and he's a retard. I guess the word speaks for itself. And, for example, they built this house, and all this trash came from that house, and they haven't even cleaned it up yet. So that's one of the negative things about being here. They just, even this place, to me, when I get home, I don't live like this. But for here, I just kind of roll with the punches because I'm busy working. So we keep the other chickens in here. This is where we get our eggs from for those, what we hatch. Their eggs are very small, so I don't try to eat them. There's not enough yolk and egg in there to even worry about. We have one well. This actually has been drilled. It brings up salt water. So it goes into that top blue one, and we use it for washing everything down. The second one's going to be the fresh water. We don't drink it. We use it for like washing dishes and stuff like that. What she's spraying right now is actually salt water. So water issues is a big problem here, but we do get the water in the blue bucket jugs like these right here. But we actually fill these full of the fresh water because this is for the dogs' water. And then our buckets, which have human water written on them, they go inside, so we don't leave them outside. These blue barrels we keep as backup. So we live right beside the ocean. There's a real water problem here. The woman didn't tell us anything about this until after we moved in. We spent a lot of money just fixing it up so we could stay here. But what it did give me, it gave me some isolation. Because this old man right here, he's a pretty good old guy. He don't bother me for nothing. He don't have no food. That's the problem. And we try to obviously help give him food when we can. And nobody complains about their situation. So you got to just kind of figure it out, as it goes along. But like right here, this is going to be, obviously we rented a car. The car worked out pretty good. But what we did is we had a regular NMAX and we converted it. So it gave us some level of transportation. They do use a lot of motorcycles around here. Their driving laws are pure shit. These people couldn't drive on their best day. In the United States, they would go to jail or whatever it would be in relation to their driving capabilities. But we built this for us to be able to run around and put side boxes and stuff on it to make that easier. This right here is going to be the trailer that we built to put behind here. It hooks up to here. So we put the pit bulls up top, and then we put whatever storage stuff in the bottom. Obviously, put the mats up top. Obviously, yes, don't want the dog crapping on nothing and going down there in the bottom, but that's kind of the way we did it. But that being said, so we built this one. I'll actually open it up. And obviously you'll know that I'm from the United States instantly, but I don't care what people think about me anyway. So what does it matter? But that being said, obviously it has. In fact, we're going to go riding, I think, this evening. My back's been hurt. We rode a long ways on it, and it really probably tore up some muscles in my back, so I've been hurting. I'll set this up here. But as you can see, this is the bike that we built. It's great on fuel mileage, so we had the extra tires and everything added onto the outside. Power, when the power goes down, we have a generator. And like I said, I told you, slum. I mean, it ain't slum here. It's just that they haven't cleaned their own trash up from building a house. But we got a big generator in here, if you can see it. And it's not automatic crank, so you have to pull it out and crank it. But we had to build a halfway security cage just so nobody would obviously steal it. So the whole house itself is, and it leaked, had 5 leaks in the roof when we got here. This woman sold. Don't depend on the people being honest with you. There ain't no laws about transparency or any of that stuff. Okay. Literally, even the mosquito net that we put around the back porch to protect our animals, we had to install all that and everything. And right now we have a monitored lizard running around. Was eating the baby rabbits, so we lost 4 baby rabbits in this last batch, just from the monitored lizard getting a hold of the baby rabbits. So that's about the only animals that we raise. That one dog you saw that was white, that is an Aspen. The rest of these, like I said, are pit bulls. But with that being said, you know, when you're actually living here, we actually live right here next to the beach. It's just, you're not going to get no views of it right now. I'll do it in another video. But when you're living here, food, clothing, shelter, you know, those are going to be the biggest issues that you're going to be dealing with, obviously. And like her, why she's deciding to kill chickens, I don't know. But in the United States, you know, that's her there right there. In the United States, we just kill her because that's just the way I was raised. So we're going to try to do something with her because now she's done killed another baby chicken. And well, you can't kill the dog because it killed the baby chicken. Yeah, you know, thing is we put her back here to protect it from the monitor lizard, to keep the monitor lizard run off. But Maria's in denial. No, she don't kill chickens, but she does. And that's just the way it is. But, you know, once these chickens get their wings and they fly over the fence and everything, obviously I'm not going to do no more chickens because they're pretty birds. They got all different varieties. But, you know, I know we're getting ready to go home type of thing. But everything here, it's not that we spend tons of money, but everything's going to be base. This is going to be a big loss on everything. There was nothing here. There he is again. He's psychotic. I can't get him a therapist or nothing. He really needs some help. But that being said, you know, this house is actually really big for what size it is. So like we're going through the front door. We got 2 bedrooms right there, one to the right. And then it goes back into another section, which we have VAs. I forgot she's still here. So we go back here. I don't even think we've opened the door. And there she is. I literally forgot she was here. That's how busy I get sometimes. Until Maria opens this door, I forget she's back here. But what she does is she sits here and she does all kinds of stuff. So if you need a VA, including her, she works real well. She handles the data, does all the small tasks that I can't get to because I'm busy doing the bigger stuff. But there's a lot of people here that don't, you know, this is what they do. They're dependent. If they get a job with somebody in the United States, they will work excellent for you because like her, we're trying to train her up because we still want to work with her even when we get back to the United States. And she has personal contacts. You know, she's from the Philippines and her English she's working on it, but she can communicate with me. I usually let Maria speak with her more because it makes it easier since they can speak in their native language, that type of deal. But like this has a bathroom in here. I'm going to open it up. Sometimes I find spatters in there that are big as my hand. And then you go back here. Just remember, they have cobras here, so don't take everything for granted. But this is our little backyard. We used to have animals back here. We cleaned it up once. We built that cage to try to catch that monitor lizard. And the thing is, we hear that monitor lizard running in the roof. So that being said, that's kind of how that turns out. And we try to corner everything off to make it where lizards and stuff can't come in. But literally, I mean, right through those woods, we're right by the ocean. In fact, we're probably closer than what we need to be because this is the Ring of Fire. That being said, earthquakes do happen here, and we have had them here even since we've been at this place. But literally, we're literally on top of the coral reef. There's not a lot of top sediment based on the earth here. So, but with that being said, that's kind of, and so I'm fixing to sit back down. I'll go over some things that you might be interested in. Yes, it looks kind of ghetto the way we're living, but believe it or not, this is the basic. No fancy furniture. Literally bought that brand new. We buy everything brand new because it's just the way quality of life is, and I've got my American standards. Now, I was able, like this morning, she found some McMuffins. We found them at S&R. S&R is the version of Costco in the degree of what they are here in the Philippines. Always keep your hand sanitizer, and I'm not a big hand sanitizer person, but here I am because you have people touching doors and knobs and everything else, and hygiene. It's not that they're not hygienic; it's just they don't take small things into consideration and what could be the vector of transmission when you're dealing with these different animals. So you have to keep that in mind. But yeah. So what else are we going to talk about? So when it comes to clothes, let's talk about clothes for a second. Clothes is a big one. It's hard to find anything in my size. These shirts were made here, and they still don't fit right. But you put your logos and stuff all over it. I made some of them in the mossy oak, and then put the labels on it. Yes, we're dispatchers. Let's talk dispatching type of thing. Because when we get back to the United States, I'm getting a motorhome so I can show her the United States. But at the same time, I'm used to being out there on the road as a truck driver, so I'll be able to have better exposure to the the owner operators to offer my services. Like I said again, any of those little small concepts of nickel and diamond money to make money while you're here, I would highly advise against it. Don't leave home till you got an actual strategy with a legitimate work from home position. This does take a lot of time out of our schedule, and Maria's had 3 years to learn it. She's a lot stronger, obviously, than when we first started. She don't know every crook and crannies, but she knows a lot, and that's been a blessing. Her English is really, really good. So that's been the biggest blessing I've had, because us being able to communicate has definitely let us know who each other is, as we went down the road with each other. What else we got? Everything imported is expensive. So you can go ahead and depend on Amazon. All those things will be expensive, but anything like an S&R, anything that's outside the country. I mean, I can't even afford to get Twizzlers. I know a lot of people don't like Twizzlers. I do. But they're really expensive. Let's see. Tailoring becomes necessary, but you have to find a tailor. The one we had last screwed up pair of pants and then didn't really let the sides out. You have to find material that matches that particular pants to, open them up, or even shirts, that type of stuff. What else we got? Heat. You got to better get used to the heat, because the heat's here. There's no winter. Okay. And that's the reason bacteria and stuff grow so prominently, which can be your big enemy. Literally, I got something that got on my leg, and I thought, oh my gosh, I got MRSA. And of course, I've been out there washing the dog pens down and stuff. We wear rubber boots and everything, but they actually had to go in and debris, take the affected area out, and then gave me heavy duty antibiotics, and it cured it. But what if it didn't? Okay, I'm from the world of medicine. Sometimes the drugs don't work, so you have to be alert by your surroundings. You can't be a hypochondriac and try to sterilize the light bulbs in the house, but you just have to always have a level of suspicion and obviously be cautious and proactive in what you're doing. Air cons get full of dirt and stuff like that, so you're going to constantly have to have them clean. Dust and pollution, lots of dust. They don't sweep the roads. The drainage systems are not up to speed. They may drain, they may not drain, or you may go down one that's got a flooded out road. Let's say pollution is what you would think in a third world country. The motorcycles, the EPA, the emissions test. I can see trucks going down the road where it's not burning all the fuel. You got black smoke pouring out of them, or they blew the rings out of it and white smoke blowing out of them. So it becomes a real problem with that. And You do wear regular filters, like on your face sometimes. I don't particularly do because guess I'm lazy. But once I get outside the city, it becomes more country, less automobiles and stuff like that, and the wind's able to push everything out of the given area, and the air is a better quality. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and typhoons. They're here. When you gonna get them? I don't know. I know the times of the season. The earthquakes are just a wake-up gift lots of the time. That when you're rattling, you see all the chandeliers in the house moving around, get out of the structure. Don't trust these structures for the integrity because the building codes are not like what we do in the United States. So make sure that I wouldn't stay in these buildings. And I've seen how their buildings are built. I'm not going to tear down their construction methods. It works for them. I guess a majority of the city is still standing after they get done. Then that's fine. But we literally had a typhoon, and for whatever reason, it turned the city into an actual river and killed a lot of people. Okay, we're talking about whole families. So keep that in mind where you're going to position yourself. You need to be geographically and topically situated in an area that's not going to be affected by natural disasters like tsunamis and stuff. I don't think we really have to worry about it, but we live right beside the ocean, so I'm definitely proactive on getting out of the affected area if we have a significant earthquake. And they do. They just happen all the time. I had one yesterday. We didn't feel it. Water and power and consistency of the power supply. Like I said, we got a generator. The water, I showed you about that problem. You need backup systems like the generators, the storage tanks and stuff like that. Even in these big condos, those backup facilities don't always work. But in those condos, you don't got nowhere to put nothing. So you're going to have to go with the flow. And so keep that in mind. Electronics and supplies, everything electronic-wise. If I can repair it, I repair it. If we have to buy it brand new, you better prepare to make sure you just go and buy brand new because people take trash and try to make it into something. One man's trash is another man's treasure, but also you get what you pay for, that type of deal, so keep that in mind. Renting a house, going to be basically 3 payments, first month's, last month's, and the payment that you're on, and you're probably not going to get back the other 2. So figure that into the cost of your monthly expenses about what you paid for that given place that you're staying at. It's nothing set. There's your contracts. It's business. Nothing set in your favor. Flights do get expensive and get inconsistent based on fuel prices. Try to pre-plan, but me and my wife, when we decide to go somewhere, we're basically out the door. We just take the lick and we're just ready to go. You can go anywhere you want. Most stuff you can literally leave out of Cebu or out of Manila. You may have to go to Manila for some trips, but overall, everything pretty much can. Basically, if you're going to stay in Southeast Asia, it's going to go out of that given airport and it'll go to the countries right around where you're at. Make sure that your wife is allowed in there. Most Americans were allowed in anywhere. Some places do require us to have a visa these days because we got everybody hating on us because we're a bunch of pricks, apparently. Phone systems, VoIP, you can use T-Mobile. They've got more than one type of phone system here. We use Zoom, we use RingCentral, we use Nextiva, we use Dialpad, that type of stuff. Like I said, the internet, you need to make sure you got backup sources on that. Try to make sure you're making your money directly from the United States. You're not going to get a job here as an American. You may. There are some people that said they did, but it's a long ways and far in between. And you're not going to make the money that you're used to seeing. Freight and logistics experience, that's me doing freight and logistics. Let's see. There's a big gap between the people that think they're rich here and the people that are absolutely beyond a desk. They make under $125 a month. Okay. And that's a whole nother subject. When it comes to understanding the caste system or the social economic system, the way it's set up, I'll try to do a different video on that one for you to understand. Language gap. Language is important, but that culture is very important. So make sure you understand the culture. You ain't got to assimilate it into who you are because you are what you are. I try my best to be hospitable to the culture that I'm in, but I'm a redneck at the end of the day. 100% all the way down to the core, to the dirt I was grown out of. Try to get somebody that actually knows the language to do the communication for you, or there's always going to be something that's missed. Make sure the person is communicating for you understands who you are. My wife protects me. Okay, she has to. Real direct, real harsh, brash. I don't try to be unreasonable, but I'm not going to be drugged down some road I don't want to personally be down. Let's see. You need to understand about money exchange rates. Also, not just about the exchange rate, but what it takes you to get your money out of your given bank account in the United States. Make sure you got all your accounts set up, including your business accounts. You can't set them up while you're here. That's a real problem. Literally right now, I'm running all my business into my personal account, and I'm not filling it, but we try to keep all the documentation separate on what went to what, so we do have a paper trail and somewhat of a digital footprint. Isolation, if you're not going to just find Americans and people here that maybe you might have found in other places where a lot of us go to. And if you do, I'm not shooting them down, but I've never really heard nothing come out of nobody's mouth that benefited me. You really don't, it's not that I want to be friends with you, but I look at the truth of the life that if we don't have some common ground, there's probably not going to be a friendship up there, because you talk about everyday life and, falling out of a uterus and walking the path of life. I've been dealing with it too. The only thing I try to share with people is what might be affecting you in any given scenario. Outside of that, you don't want to hear my life. Hell, I don't want to hear yours. It's nothing personal. We're all dealing with the same program. 8 billion people on the planet and not enough land to go around, that type of thing. Healthcare, I don't know a lot about your insurances. I had insurance when I got here and let it go because it didn't do me no good. Obviously, I got to get it back when I go back to the United States. But here, everything I've done for its dental, medical, and everything, I paid cash. Even when Maria, she had an appendectomy. There was an emergency one, a rupture. And the whole process for being in the hospital for the week was about $6,000. Things you need to watch out for: dengue, respiratory issues, and general sanitation concerns, as well as malaria. Rabies is still a prominent thing here, so keep those in mind and adjust accordingly. Mental health, PTSD. I've got PTSD, and panic attacks don't work out real good here. My wife tries to talk me down, but she don't always get it, because it's always easy to tell people what you've got and what you're dealing with, but they're not going to get it. They know that's the issues and what it's causing, but they don't understand the walk. I'm ex-military and paramedic and everything, so people are not going to get it. So don't expect them to completely understand the situation. So prepare yourself for that. If you got any outstanding issues, to have a tendency of firing up, and you can't find a solution to it myself. So I just deal with it as it comes. Medications, you go to the doctor, you can get about any medication you want. Just have the rationale why you need it, and they'll write you a prescription for it. Here, Xanax, Valium. I don't take them like full time, but when I need them, it's easy to go get them. So don't get yourself addicted to nothing. Oh my gosh. What have you got an addiction outside the United States? That's a hell of a place to get it, have it happen. Police, whatever is part of the system here, go and consider them corrupt. It's the best way to keep it from blasting in your face. So don't try to be buddy-buddy with anybody when it comes to that level. I do have a friend that's in the law enforcement community, but I met when I was in jail, because I got put in jail here for 3 months, and he's a great guy. He helped me get out, helped me get all the charges dropped and all that stuff. So the weather, and don't we want to go to jail here? It's extremely they literally wouldn't let me have my phone. They let people have their phones, but they thought I was working with the FBI. Okay, who would have guessed? Because it was human rights violations. That's what it was. But that being said, you ain't going to be able to carry no personal weapons. Even knives and stuff are not allowed to carry, even on your bike or whatever it is. Make sure you got a justifiable way to defend it. Like mine is dogs. These dogs are everywhere. They got mange, red mange. It's pathetic. They need to cut me loose with a 22 and let me put these dogs out of their misery. But they let them run, and they don't look at the health factor, not just for the animals, but for the general public. Let's see. Social media is going to be one of your ways you're going to be able to communicate. We use TikTok, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, etc., to actually present who we are when it comes to our business strategies. Street food, take it as it comes. The rats are everywhere. Obviously, they didn't read about the Black Plague when it came to Europe and wiped out 3% of the Earth's population. Somehow, I guess it slipped their history books and definitely slipped their health department. Let's see what else. Waste disposal issues. Some places just got sewage running right out in the middle of the street. I don't know what to tell you about that, but when you're in the water, make sure you look at Google Earth. If you're going to get out there in that ocean and play around, make sure that the cities, streams and creeks or whatever are not just dumping out within the radius of you. Okay, imagine the Mississippi River, dump it out to the Gulf of Mexico. You know how dirty it is down there because it started up way before Great Lakes, came all the way down, and everything that anybody dumped in there is now washed out to the Gulf of Mexico. Same principle here, except it's coming from a place that don't have nearly as much to do with the EPA, environmental control and stuff like that. Is just flushes out there. It's everything. Some of the creeks are literally packed up and backed up because of trash in them. Let's see what else we got. Visa issues. Stay on top of your visa. It can definitely turn into a problem. My wife keeps everything, all that up to speed. She's great at all this stuff. And so she's been an extreme blessing. I love her to death. I've been a stranger for nothing. Except maybe a good gun and a hunting dog. But outside that, I love her. Fixed income, you're back. Make sure you evaluate that real well. I've seen people with fixed incomes, and they don't come here with their guard up. They don't know the social structure and what people are willing to do to them, and they end up upside down. Okay, that being said, I'm going to kind of leave it there. I hope that gave you some insight. I did play around with it. I'm not going to shoot you a bunch of pictures, show you this is the way it's done, this is how it needs to be done. This is straight the way it is. Okay. Am I disappointed I came? Nope, because I got a great wife. The rest of it, absolutely, I would have never, ever stayed here this long. It's not that I hate the people. It's not that I hate the country. It is 11 million and something people. I don't know if it's all the islands together in this country with economic and social structure and system structure, governmental and everything. I'll just leave it like that. You pick out the bad, the good, and you make your own personal decision based on that. It's great when you first get here. Everything's new to you, but be grateful that you are from the United States if you're an American. I'm very grateful for everything I have. We got problems just like everybody else, but at least we have a fair fighting chance to some degree to fight the system. I believe in total freedom, no government, all that good stuff. I absolutely believe in that way because government took control. I think it was 1934, 1938. It was part of the Great Depression. That all kind of came into the United States and it kind of took hold and has never went anywhere else. But that being said, I love my life out of the United States. I love what I've learned. I love my education level, my understanding, my general comprehension, my basic, common sense. I'm very grateful for that. And you'll see why, when you actually deal with people out of other countries. And I've been to a lot of different countries at this point, really. I have traveled the hell out of the world. But I'll leave that at that. If you got any questions or concerns, there is going to be that picture on the front that's going to have a QR code that takes you directly to truckdrivernation.com. You can get a hold of us in there. If you need to start working from home, get a hold of us in there. We'll show you how we make that happen for you. But outside that, I'll do some more video content. Give me the subjects and the stuff that you want to know about the Philippines while I'm here. And hopefully I can help you out. Anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you. And talk to you guys soon.